we engage them and teach them about breathing so that they actually do these breathing practices. We have done humming bee breath so many times during this training already, and that's very self-explanatory. You can do it in child's pose, you can do knees to chest lying on their back. They can really do it in any posture, but it is very effective in child's pose. Other breathing techniques that we typically do with this age group are very, very simple. Again, gorilla breath that we discussed in the previous workshop about pranayama. This does not involve any props at all or any resources, just simply doing it. So humming bee breath and gorilla are two of the most effective, and they do not need any props. In fact, it's very difficult to incorporate props into gorilla breathing and humming bee breath. So that's great if you're using it in a classroom or you're using it at home or you just happen to not have any props with you. Other breathing techniques that we do with this age group are an exhale through the mouth. So there's different ways that you can actually exhale through your mouth and it feels different. We have a lion's breath where we stick the tongue out. This is more releasing, so we use that with younger children if there is a buildup of overexcitement, if it's hot, if they're overstimulated, or if they're starting to get a bit frustrated. Lion's breath is a great one to do. They can do it seated, they can do it in child's pose. With the older children, 6 to 9 years, they can do it in downward facing dog. Maybe they could do it in early years in downward facing dog, but it's often just quite a lot unless they have been practicing yoga with you for a long time. I just keep it simple and do my lion's breath either seated or in child's pose. Another way that they can breathe out through their mouth is shh. This gently engages the core as they do this. It's a very long, controlled exhale. I love to do this one in cobra. Again, they can do it in child's pose, and they could do it in a standing forward fold as well. It's really nice to use the arms. Inhale, reach out, and then exhale. Shh. It really encourages a long, soothing exhale. Now, we can do this with things like scarves. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale slowly. Down. And another way we can do this breath is using the shakers to help encourage that shh sound. So inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, shh. Really, it's just a way to keep their mind focused and to keep their hands busy. So if you don't have resources but you're doing the shh breath seated, they could also do tip tap fingers like this, shh, or shh. It just helps to keep them focused if their hands are doing something, and especially if there's some sort of sensory input, whether that's fingertips or shakers. Another way that they can exhale through the mouth is this is like they are blowing out a candle. So this is, again, a controlled breath, and it does feel different. If you compare it to the shh breath, you can really feel with the shh breath, you're engaging the core and really pushing the air out. Whereas with the, it's a much more cooling, calming breath. So it does feel different. Now with this one, I like to use feathers, pom-poms, flowers, leaves to blow. So because they're blowing out through the mouth, if they're using feathers or blowing something off their hand, it really encourages that long, forceful breath out. And in order to do that, they need a deep breath in. So I encourage them to let everybody take a big breath in through our nose and then out through the mouth. Now, because this is a long, deep exhale as well as a long, deep inhale, and it's more cooling and calming, this activity really does help support with their regulation, helps them to get grounded because we're doing this seated. And it's a great preparation for Shavasana, or if you know there's no way the group are going to go into a relaxation, this might be the relaxation activity itself. They tend to all sit down, they have their own feather, and they're just going at their own pace, and you are gently modeling and encouraging them to take a deeper breath in and a longer breath out. And they can stay focused on this for quite a few minutes, and it really does help them to regulate and ground and get ready for some sort of final relaxation, whatever that might be for you. We'll discuss that in the next upcoming sessions. The other way in which they can exhale through the mouth is a sigh. This is very soothing for the nervous system. It's a long exhale. They can make a sound, or it can just be big mouth. Again, it feels different from if you just try the two, take a deep breath in, sigh it out, versus take a deep breath in, blow out the candles. It feels very different. The blowing the candles out feels calming. The sighing it out feels releasing. So it does feel very different. It does have different purposes, but ultimately we are still working with the parasympathetic side of the nervous system, which is cooling, calming, relaxing, rest and digest. One of my favorite ways to increase this long inhale and the exhale, I use it almost every early years class, is the glitter jar. We shake the glitter jar and everybody inhales, and then we exhale through the mouth and watch the glitter jar settle, watch the glitter settle. Now this glitter jar settles in about 7 seconds, so that's a really long exhale. So we inhale as we shake, and then as the glitter settles. Now, of course, you can do any breathing technique with this. We could do it with the humming bee breath. The thing is with the humming bee breath is it tends to be so long that the glitter has already settled before we've ended the humming bee breath. So I like to use the glitter jar as a visual focus, but because it's about 7 seconds, it works really well with the exhale through the mouth, or the sighing it out. We also have breathing balls. I don't use this as much, I will be honest, but it is a really nice technique, a nice tool. Obviously inhale, and it's an exhale, but it's quite a fast exhale. So this actually wouldn't work with humming bee breath, but it would work with something simple like an inhale, exhale through the nose. If you're trying to teach that, inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose, because it's a quicker breath. You could try it, absolutely. Inhale through the nose, exhale, blow out the candles. But they have to control this more because it goes in slowly, but not slowly enough. So that's why I do prefer to use something like the visually being able to see blowing the feather or the petals. So they're breathing and they're visually seeing the power of their breath, or keeping them focused visually or in a sensory way. And then another way in which I encourage breathing in a way to make it engaging is just simply inhale until the end of the sound, and then I'll tap it again, exhale until the end. So let's try that. Exhale out. So again, depending on how big the singing bowl is and how much sound it actually makes, how long the sound lasts for, that will dictate how long the inhale and exhale will be. If you don't have a singing bowl, you could use a chime or any kind of sound that indicates inhale now and exhale now. What I do like about the singing bowl is because the sound is quietly continuing, it encourages them to continue to inhale and then continue to exhale until the sound is complete. It also encourages them to listen very carefully because, of course, they are listening for the end of the sound. But even if you just have some sort of shakers or if you have 2 sticks, just to indicate inhale, exhale. And of course, it's very fun for the children themselves to be the one to dictate the inhale and the exhale if they do it sensibly, where it's not inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. And obviously, we don't want it to be too long, but where the children are not actually breathing and they're actually holding their breath, because at this age, they don't need to hold the breath actively. We're really just trying to teach them how to exhale with a long breath, because that's soothing for the body, and trying to get them to take a deep breath in through the nose. So these are some of the props that I use. There are other props, but honestly, you don't need millions of props. You just need 2 or 3 that work really well for you and really well for the groups of children that you work with.